In the bright lights of the London studio, the atmosphere was electric. The countdown on the teleprompter flickered from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just like that, Piers Morgan Uncensored went live. The cameras rolled, the audience leaned in, and the host, sharp-tongued, confident, and never afraid of confrontation, smiled into the lens. "Tonight, we're joined by someone who needs no introduction," he began, voice smooth but charged with that unmistakable edge. "Meghan Markle." The studio fell silent. For a split second, it felt like time itself was holding its breath. Meghan, poised and elegant in a simple cream dress, gave a polite smile, her posture perfect but her eyes alert. She knew this wasn't going to be an easy interview. She also knew she couldn't back down now. "Good evening, Meghan," Piers said, leaning slightly forward. "It's been quite some time since you've agreed to a British television interview. Why now?" Meghan's tone was calm, practiced, but sincere. "Because I believe there's always a time to set the record straight. There's been so much said, by so many, and I think people deserve to hear my truth, directly from me." Piers nodded, a faint smirk touching the corner of his mouth. "Your truth," he repeated, letting the words hang in the air. That phrase has become quite popular lately, hasn't it? But truth, Meghan, is supposed to be universal, not personal. The audience shifted in their seats. Meghan held his gaze. "Truth can be both," she replied firmly. "When people distort your story, when they speak about your life without ever knowing you, your voice becomes your only form of truth." Piers crossed his arms, eyes narrowing slightly. "And yet, some would argue that you've done plenty of speaking, books, interviews, documentaries, podcasts. You say you want privacy, but it seems like every time we turn around, there's another revelation. Is that privacy, or publicity?" A soft gasp escaped from someone in the audience. Meghan's smile didn't falter, but her eyes hardened. "There's a difference between controlling your own narrative and being controlled by others," she said. "I never asked for silence, I asked for fairness." "Fairness?" Piers leaned closer, his tone sharper now. "Fairness is an interesting word. Was it fair to accuse your in-laws of racism on international television? Was it fair to claim you were silenced, while sitting down for a 2-hour primetime special?" The tension thickened. Cameras zoomed in on Meghan's face. Her calm demeanor cracked just slightly, not anger, but frustration. "Piers, you've made a career out of attacking people like me. You twist stories for ratings, not truth. You don't want answers, you want outrage." Piers grinned slightly, sensing the escalation. "Oh, come now, Meghan. You think you're the only one who's ever faced criticism? Welcome to public life. It's not a therapy session, it's accountability." Meghan took a slow breath. "Accountability works both ways. Maybe you should try it sometime." The audience reacted audibly now, half gasps, half applause. Piers's smirk vanished for the first time. He leaned forward, elbows on the desk. "You want to talk accountability? Let's start with the fact that every time you speak, someone else gets thrown under the bus. The royal family, the press, even your own father. Do you take responsibility for any of that?" Meghan's voice wavered but didn't break. "I take responsibility for protecting my peace. For surviving." "Surviving?" he shot back. "You're living in a mansion in California, worth millions. You're not surviving, you're thriving off the very system you claim to despise. That did it." Meghan's eyes flashed with anger. "You don't know what I've survived," she said, voice rising. "You sit here judging, ridiculing, twisting, but you don't know the isolation, the fear, the lies. You don't know what it's like to have every word, every breath dissected and weaponized against you." Piers didn't back off. "And yet, you're here again, by choice. Maybe because victimhood sells better than silence?" The room erupted. Gasps, murmurs, whispers spread through the crowd. Meghan looked stunned, hurt. For the first time, she looked away from him. "Is this what you wanted?" she asked quietly. "To humiliate me on live TV? To make headlines off someone else's pain?" Piers leaned back in his chair, voice calm again. "No, Meghan. I wanted honesty. I wanted the truth without the PR filter. But maybe that's too much to ask from royalty turned celebrity." She stared at him, a long, tense silence. The air buzzed like static. Then, Meghan unclipped her microphone. The faint click echoed through the studio. "I don't need this," she said, standing up. "I came here for a conversation, not a cross-examination." "Walking away again?" Piers taunted, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Seems like a pattern." Meghan turned toward him sharply, eyes glistening. "Maybe I'm walking towards something better," she said before walking off stage. The audience erupted into confusion, applause, gasps, murmurs all at once. Piers watched her go, then turned to the camera. "Well," he said dryly, "that's one way to end an interview." The show cut to an abrupt commercial break, but behind the scenes, chaos broke out. Producers scrambled, assistants whispered, and social media began exploding within seconds. #Meghan walks off, #Piers vs Meghan, and #LiveTV meltdown trended across platforms in less than 5 minutes. In the control room, one of the producers muttered, "This is going to break the internet." Piers removed his earpiece, calm and collected. "I told you," he said to no one in particular, "truth always hits harder when it's real." Meanwhile, backstage, Meghan was surrounded by her team, visibly shaken, angry, and emotional. Her publicist whispered, "You did the right thing, Meghan. He pushed too far." She nodded silently, looking down at the microphone still in her hand. "Maybe," she said softly, "but he won't stop until he breaks something that can't be fixed." Hours later, the footage was everywhere. News anchors debated the ethics, commentators analyzed every gesture, every word. Some defended Meghan, saying she stood up to bullying. Others sided with Piers, praising his fearless questioning. The world divided, once again. By evening, clips of the exchange dominated the internet. The hashtags were unstoppable. Even celebrities weighed in, some applauding Meghan's strength, others condemning her dramatic exit. Piers released a statement, "I stand by tough questions. If people can't handle them, that's their choice." Meghan's team responded the next morning, "Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity, even on live television." The story became a global talking point. TV analysts replayed the moment frame by frame. Psychologists discussed emotional triggers in high-pressure interviews. PR experts called it a masterclass in controlled chaos. And through it all, the footage spoke for itself, a woman defending her voice against a man defending his platform. Days later, Piers addressed the incident on his next episode. "People say I was too harsh," he began, looking straight into the camera. "But when someone lives in the public eye and profits off their story, the questions don't disappear. If you want the spotlight, you have to stand in it, not walk away." The audience applauded, but the applause felt divided, some genuine, some uncomfortable. A week later, Meghan appeared in a recorded podcast. "Sometimes," she said softly, "strength isn't about fighting back. It's about knowing when to walk away." Her words went viral again, and the internet lit up with debates, analyses, and think pieces. Behind the noise, both of them, Piers and Meghan, moved on with their separate lives. Yet, their confrontation remained one of the most unforgettable live television moments in recent memory. The lights of the London skyline shimmered that night, reflecting in the glossy hood of a black Rolls-Royce Phantom parked outside the studio. Next to it, a Bentley Continental, a sleek Maybach, a Ferrari Roma, and an Aston Martin DBS waited silently, symbols of power, wealth, and the strange theater of fame. Inside the cars, tinted windows hid the faces of the elite, journalists,